All right, another video book review. This one is for the Dungeon Anarchists Cookbook, the third book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman. Anywho, this book was a trip. It was a ride, so to speak, because it was another fast paced, incredibly compelling book in the series. And much more so than the second book, and I think better paced than the first one. Hold on. So it might be the best, actually, and I think it is, come to think of it, because we're set on one level, one of the levels, the third level, fourth level. Two levels were in the first book, one level in the second book, one level again in this book. And I really like that setup. I really like that setup because in the first book, obviously he did two. Like the first one was a tutorial kind of level. Then the second one was kind of a carbon copy, just a little bit different. But I can't even picture that world, those dungeon levels very well. It's kind of blank corridors. The third level was, as I mentioned in the previous review, was also a little bit hazy because it was kind of a world, but it was a fantasy medieval kind of world with quests. And that just felt too generic to me. It was interesting to see in the setting that is in Dungeon Crawler Carl, and it's weird that it's there. However, it wasn't as interesting or memorable. Like if I read a whole bunch of books and come back, as I kind of have, I've only read like probably a handful of books since that one. I have to think, oh yeah, the third level, second book, it was a fantasy world. There's, I think, bird people villages and cities, but whatever, right? This one was not that. This one was very specific, very unique, and it lent itself to the setting in here with the setting with the book really meshed perfectly. How it affected the plot was great. It was a blast. It was an absolute blast. So in the beginning, they're opening. My problems are always, we spend the very beginning kind of doing a bunch of lit RPG things where you're like, all right, get on with it, get on with the actual story. But this one, it shrunk that a bit, and then we jumped right in, and then we got to the races. You're in a train world. There's a bunch of different lines on these subways, and there's a bunch of challenges as you figure out the maze-like structure of this level, how the trains work, how the enemies, because they're getting on and off trains, why they're doing that, because they are not like controlled by an AI. They are like beings that actually make their own choices. So why would they do that? There's NPCs. There are like different stations that have like NPCs that will sell you things and have a safe room. So what are they doing? What's at the end of the line? How do you get out? Where are the stairs? You can't find the stairs. Like there's a bunch of challenges. The mysteries and how you figure out the answers to these challenges are very interesting. How I think Carl comes into his own in this book in a lot of ways because he kind of goes from, he was shown to be intelligent in the last couple books. His intelligence is not very high compared to a lot of other characters, especially Donut. But in a lot of times he's come through with solutions. In this one, he is full on Mr. like understand and find solutions to the variety of problems that show themselves. And his wisdom stat must be incredibly high. We're told before that the wisdom stat is hidden, and it is very important, but we don't know any of their wisdoms, and Donuts would be really low. And I'm guessing Carl's is wildly high because he's really shooting out of his league when it comes to a lot of this stuff. And I'm really enjoying that aspect. The world is getting built up, which is interesting. I don't really care too much about the intergalactic, problems and the world, the kind of what is it, the problems to the, like there's the Boran Empire and they're having infighting and people might not like them and they've got an iron fist over them. Now there's like an entity out there that threatens everyone else. All that's interesting, but I honestly could take it or leave it. The real deal is obviously getting to those next levels and our main characters. And we added another main character to this book who came into their own, which was Katya. And she started as she started, right, where it was kind of, didn't want to fight, um, very insular in how she reacted or talked, very, she was enjoyable company, but not anything special. And the viewers talked about that too. Kick her out, kick her out. But her becoming part of the party, one with the party throughout, and the challenges that arose from there, getting away from Hecla and that party, and her kind of indecision between the two, and how that came to the head towards the end was super interesting. I really enjoyed that. Donna and Carl getting stronger together, not only like as like champions in the dungeon, but as, you know, partners in this, was very interesting. You very much come to appreciate the relationship between Donut and Carl, and the little bits of like history that of their past life on real world Earth above, before this cataclysm. That little stuff that shines through every now and again that explains so much. It's really funny and really impactful too. I hope we see Bea at some point. She's mentioned so many times, and she was on the beach. Apparently, she might have been on the beach with her lover when the cataclysm happened. So she might have survived, honestly, and they're saving it for later. That would be very interesting. I hope that happens. Anywho, yeah, the characters are great. How they build together are great. You really feel connected to all of them, Kati included now. She is a great addition to the party. What else? The the challenge in this particular world. Sorry, this has been on my screen for so long. Get off my screen. There we go. Anywho, and this world and the specific challenges it, and I say world, the dungeon level that it brings forward, unique enough for me to care. And there, once you think you understand it, there's another, there's another page to turn where there's something else happening that you don't expect, and that is built into the story, and it keeps it very fresh, very interesting, because you kind of get an idea of what it is and what's going on 50% of the book through, and then new challenges come up. And then what I really liked about it, which was different from the other books and the other levels, is the teamwork aspect. The crawlers end up working together so much in this book, and Carl comes to the rescue so often, Carl and Donut, and they work together, and other people save him, and it's very interesting. And you get people from previous books coming up, and crawlers working together and humans working together is just so compelling. And I was really missing from the last one, the last couple, for obvious reasons. Like there were reasons for it, but there were also reasons that it did happen in this book, and the like connections that have been built up. So I thought that was such a breath of fresh air in this book as well. So I really love to see that. It is mentioned many times that the next level, that's not going to happen by the game decision makers, but I really like to see it at least once, right? Because it did happen that they needed to work together a lot in this book. The I guess the challenges that are brought up, they seemed, in at least the first two levels, they felt like they were, even the third level, they felt like if you were competent, you could overcome them. If you were competent in life and in picking things and doing things, you could overcome them and survive. In this level, it felt like you could step right the entire time, but the world just screws you over and you're done. You're over. And that happens. And with that, you get tension. And that tension is palpable throughout. And the mystery and the confusion of it, included to mix with all of that, makes it scary. Makes it scary a lot of times. So I don't know. It was very compelling, very fast paced. You didn't know it was coming. It was a mile a minute. They're riding trains everywhere. There's fighting. It's great. Loved it. Loved the problem solving of Carl. He's a real like problem solver, and the ways that he does things and solves those specific problems in those moments under pressure. He's very good, and the way he solves it are unique, and you don't think that way a lot of times. So when he does it, you don't expect it, and you're like, wow, I'm impressed with you, Carl. And Donut and Katya, and with Matt Dinniman himself in how he sets a problem up and then uses all of these weird things that the characters have, like all their stats and their class abilities and all that together to solve a problem is actually impressive. So props to him. He did really, really well with this. This book I would also recommend to anyone, but you have to get to the third book to do it. And if you're turned off from lit RPG stuff, like, you're not going to like it, I guess, because it's just everywhere. And I've grudgingly accepted lit RPG. When it happens too much, it's too much. But if it's this, and I'm always told this is the gold standard, so this is the gold standard. Gold standard works for me. It's just a solid, really good book. All of these books so far. But I definitely feel that if the lit RPG aspect was a little bit heavier, just like in the beginning of the second book, where it was like way too heavy, I would be turned off that book and I would stop immediately. But anywho, that's what I think. I won't continue talking, especially since I'm sick. Not great. I just want to sit and drink some more coffee, and kind of be like that. Kind of be like this dog right there. Yeah, that's what I want to do, and that's what I think I'm going to do. So, what do I need? I need to give my rating. That's right. So, I'd give it a clean, because I gave the first book a 9. I would give this a clean 9.2. 9.2, which is just fantastic. Yeah, that's what I put down on my review when I wrote it down. But coming to think about it, and the first book, let's do some revamps. First book, I would give an 8.5. Second book, I'd give a 7.8. Third book, this book, I'd give an 8.7. That feels right. That feels better. 8.7. 8.7 is what I'll give. So it's higher than the other ones, and I revamped the score there. So 8.7, call it a day. On to the next book.